What is up, everyone? Crunchy Frog here, and for weeks now, we have heard basically radio silence from Infinity Ward in regards to what is coming for Modern Warfare 2 and what is currently being worked on at the studio. A lot of the community is kind of beside themselves in anger and honestly apathy towards the game. And, player count numbers have been going down. We talked about that a lot in my last video. Is the game dead? Is it dying? Is it not? But essentially, everyone was kind of tired of the game as it became a little bit stale in the months since the last true update or content availability for the game. But finally, a little bit earlier this week, or maybe even last week, Infinity Ward kind of broke their silence, unveiled a couple changes that were coming with Season 2, as well as delaying Season 2 until February 15th. And basically, now they've come out with a full developer blog today, January 25th, that gives a lot more detail and a look into what we will be expecting to come with Season 2 on February 15th. Now, they did mention, and I want to put this out there to begin with, there will be a lot more details coming in the week before, as there usually is. So they didn't give us a roadmap. They didn't give us that cool graphic they usually give each season just yet. We don't know anything about, how many maps or whatever just yet, but that will be coming, so I'll probably put out another video then. But today we're just going to go over everything that they told us is coming, including some really big changes that I think a lot of people are going to like. So before we get into it, make sure to subscribe for more information and news leading up to Season 2 of Modern Warfare 2 and beyond. We'll be covering it all here on the channel, and if you enjoy videos like this, if you like all the information that I give you, make sure to hit that like button and leave a comment below, as it greatly helps this channel and helps me reach more viewers. So with all that out of the way, let's get right into it. Now, I'm going to link the actual blog post below in my description, but I'll kind of briefly go over everything in order, kind of run through the entire blog post, and again, link it there so you can read through it in its entirety later. But the first thing they mention is crashes. Obviously, a lot of people are still having a lot of crashes and performance issues with the game, so they did mention that obviously they will be improving overall stability, stuff like that, and that they will be including a full, comprehensive look at all the crashes and bugs and stuff like that they fixed with the Season 2 patch notes. They did also go into detail about some audio issues. So apparently there was a big fix on PC, like audio was channeling really weird, which I'm not quite sure what that means. I play on console personally, but they are adding an option to force stereo output. So hopefully that fixes some audio issues that PC players were having. They also mentioned there's a lot of issues with sound occlusion, and basically the way they described it is some materials were kind of sending the wrong values. So if sound played behind like a wicker basket or, a pot or something on the ground, it would almost make the sound like it was coming from another room. So they've kind of fixed some sound occlusion issues, and I haven't noticed too many myself, but it could be something that you don't really notice until it's too late. So it might be nice having that going forward. And for those of you that were actively having issues with that, hopefully that'll fix it going forward. Next up, as promised, a month or two ago, they are once again bringing us a bevy of UI fixes, which is awesome because, as we know, one of the worst parts of the game on launch was the UI. So the first thing they mentioned is they are improving navigation and organization of the camo menu. So they didn't go into specifics, but thank God. I mean, the change they pushed last time for the camo menu was huge, being able to filter by unlocked and stuff like that. Hopefully they refine it and make it even better. It's just going to keep making the experience so much better going forward. Next up, they claim a more polished social tab, including improved channel swapping and player muting. Thank God, because the social tab is a nightmare right now, so any change will be a good change. They've also added a new My Bundle screen. Not quite sure what that is, but I'm assuming something to do with the store, either bundles it wants you to buy or that you've already bought before. Not quite sure. Next up is a quick equip items from the Battle Pass, My Bundles in Store. So I'm assuming that just means when you're in the Battle Pass, you unlock, say, a new operator skin or car skin, something like that. You could just press X or whatever to equip it right then and there, as opposed to having to go into the menus later. So that could save some time potentially. Next up, they have reticle previews in the store in Gunsmith, and this is a massive one for me, and I think a lot of the community, right? So everyone's been complaining that they don't know what certain sights or reticles look like. And I know for me, it's been horrible. And whenever you have like 20 or 30 sights for every gun, you at least want to know kind of what you're dealing with before you put it on your weapon and attempt to use it. So this is going to be a massive improvement. Thank you so much, Infinity Ward, for finally listening to the community on this. Next up, they've improved the clarity of attachment blocking logic in Gunsmith. Not quite sure what that means, but I assume it's just saying it explains in more detail why you can't use certain attachments because another attachment is being used. You know, like an integrated suppressor barrel means you can't put another suppressor on it, stuff like that. And they've also said they have a lot of bug fixes in regards to the UI. So obviously the UI is terrible in general. It's also super buggy. So cleaning up some of those bugs and issues, obviously a good thing. They've also recently introduced a fix that restored instance speed of recent players in menu. Not sure what that means, sorry. I'm just going to read it off to you guys and do with that what you will. As well as the status refresh of friends. I'm assuming this is just to fix, if your friends are showing online when they shouldn't be and vice versa. They've also improved the after action report with audio. Again, not entirely sure, but the after action report is not great as it stands right now. Play again feature in Battle Royale, just skip to the next match quicker. Bug fixes for inconsistencies between the challengers, battle pass, weapon progression. So basically just shoring up all those, hey, it said I gained a weapon level, but I actually didn't. Hey, it says I got 2 battle pass tokens, but they're not there. That kind of stuff that a lot of people, including myself, have been having issues with. That should all be fixed now as well. And then obviously they kind of end that section with weapon balance will be coming. We know that every single time they push a patch, right? Some guns are buffed, some guns are nerfed, some bugs are fixed in that regard. So awesome. Obviously the golden child, right? The favorite child that gets all the help and all the attention is WarZone. And WarZone had predictably the largest section of this blog post. Now some of these points I'll cover quicker than others. To be honest, I've played, I think, 10 WarZone matches since it came out. If that. I just haven't been into it, so I apologize if I am not familiar with some of these, issues, but I will cover them nonetheless. So they are bringing back the 1v1 gulag. So they tried the weird 2v2 gulag where you had to depend on a random stranger to help you get back into the match, and there was like a boss that would come in called the jailer, and you guys could kill him to get out. It was super convoluted. Almost nobody liked it, including myself. The few matches I did play, I hated the gulag. So they're doing away with that now, right? They tried to add something to the game and they're already walking it back, thankfully in this case. They will be bringing back like that little domination flag in the middle, so no jailer. They're also currently going to be using the current map. They're going to switch it up to make it a little more feasible for 1v1, but going forward they will just scrap this current gulag entirely and bring in a new kind of more traditional gulag map. They said, quote, we've also made some logistical changes to the gulag experience. Ground loot has been revisited, as well as the loadouts the players will spawn in with. We've updated the pool to include assault rifles, SMGs, and LMGs as primary weapons as the circles progress. Shotguns have been removed from the rotations, while handguns will remain available as secondary weapons. So basically just making it more like the good gulag experience, in my opinion, with actual guns. I hate using handguns. I hate using shotguns. Just give me an M4 to try to kill the other guy with an M4 and get me back in the match. That's my favorite. So I'm really happy to see. Now, I don't know if something like this will bring me back into the Warzone along with some of the other fixes, but it will definitely make it a better experience, at least in my opinion. And they've also added more cash upon redeploy. So, you kind of spawn back into the match with a little more to spend money on and get yourself back into the game, so to speak. And they've also added some cash around the Gulag map, which is going to be nice. Again, give you more money to spawn in with should you win. There's also been a massive economy rework, and just to summarize a lot of the paragraphs that they wrote, essentially less money from contracts and a lot more money from the ground loot. They've increased like the lowest amount of money you can get from ground loot and cash drawers and stuff like that. They've also put cash in more lootable areas and things like that. Again, just long story short, less contract cash, more ground cash. So they hope that that'll improve the flow of everything they say in their article. They've also completely reworked loot. Honestly, it's just turning back into Warzone 1, which is good. Everybody loved Warzone 1, but we'll get into it here. So they are shifting back to loot popping out of everything instead of like little looting windows and UI. So it's a little more like traditional Warzone 1 instead of kind of the backpack style and UI menus and all that good stuff that was kind of more comparable to other BRs and Blackout and stuff like that. Now it's more just like Warzone 1. Like loot pops out, you can pick it up, you have, certain, kind of slots and everything for loot and stuff like that. So along with that, backpack sizes are gone. Everyone has the same backpack, so it's no longer like you could get mediums and you could get larges. And no, everyone just has what it sounds like, just the base small backpack. And players are no longer going to be dropping backpacks, so it's just loot that pops out like Warzone 1, which is one of my favorite improvements the Warzone 1 had over other battle royales, right? I hated going into Apex and looting through their backpack. I hated doing that in Blackout, right? And I hated doing that in Warzone 2. So the fact that they brought it back to Warzone 1, you kill somebody, boom, goes everything that they had on their person scattered along the floor. You can pick it up, auto loot stuff, just go about your day that way. So super happy about that. And they say it hopefully minimizes the amount of time people spend in their UIs and minimizes the amount of people kind of cheesing or gaming the system, so to speak, by stacking up on some loot items that frankly should not be able to be hoarded, like healing items, kill streaks, stuff like that. They've also kind of walked back further on the whole loadout situation. So customizable perk packages are coming back. Initially, you couldn't get perks, blah, blah, blah. Now those are coming back. And it will be slightly reduced pool, so it's not every single perk coming right at Season 2. I think others will be added later, but it will be slightly reduced. Guns will still be purchasable at a buy station, but loadout drop markers are actually coming back. Now, again, forgive my ignorance. I'm not sure if they were completely gone at this stage of the game or not, but they made it sound like there was no loadout drops at all before, and now they are being added back. So if that's the case, hey, we're right back at it, at buying loadout drop and getting our loadout whenever we want it. Second loadout drop public event will also be added, means that drops happen now on the first and fifth circles. So just basically a lot more chance to get your loadout. It's just pivoting right back to how Warzone 1 is. So, Warzone 1 functioned a specific way. Warzone 2 came out, completely just reinvented the wheel in so many areas, for better or worse, depending on who you ask. And now they're just walking all those changes back. Pretty soon it's just going to be Warzone 1 with better graphics and arguably a cooler map. And that's about it. So, going further with that, again, another change that just walks back here, but all players will now spawn with a 3-plate vest. So no, different loadout vest sizes and stuff like that. Just everyone got 3 plates all the time. Players can also now sprint through doors while plating, and the movement speed is a little bit increased now while plating as well. So you're not just dead in the water if you want to stick a plate in your chest. You have a little more options. They're also going to be mixing up the rewards for strongholds. They mentioned that, it was kind of unbalanced. I'm not exactly sure. Again, I haven't even done a stronghold in Warzone, to be honest. So they said they are looking to rework that, whole system. And then obviously the big one that they mentioned last week, and strangely, it only kind of mentioned it in his blog, but there is going to be a new small map coming, along with a Resurgence game mode. So more info will be coming on that on the 8th. And again, I will be posting a video breaking down that info once we get it. But just know Resurgence is coming back, and you guys will get a second smaller map for Warzone. So that about sums up all of the Warzone changes. Next up, they have DMZ. Basically, they're just talking about they're going to make the AI difficulty a little more balanced. Some people were having issues with that. They're going to be changing up some spawn points just for a better user experience, they say. They've also tuned the difficulty for missions. They were saying that even, the most experienced, players were having a lot of issues with Tier 3 contracts. And I agree, some of the contracts were kind of crazy. So I'm glad that they're maybe tweaking the difficulty of that, making them a little more attainable without making them too easy, stuff like that. Obviously, again, less crashes, more stability, which my group has had a lot of stability issues with that, game crashing constantly during DMZ, so that is hopefully going to be fixed. There will be a seasonal refresh of missions and contraband keys. Again, more details coming on this, they say. So I just assume they're going to be giving us new missions, maybe resetting our progress, taking our keys away, and giving us new stuff to get in Season 2. They're also adding a new exclusion zone. They didn't really mention anything about it, but basically just a new area for us to drop. And again, more info on that coming. They essentially say the faction missions will be able to be tackled across all three locations. So, Building 21, this new area, and then obviously Almazra. So that sums it up for DMZ. Not a whole lot. Obviously, a new map will be super cool, and I am happy that they are tweaking it and actually paying attention to it. I was kind of surprised that they didn't just throw it out immediately. Like, they're actually putting some life support into their third mode, which is super cool. So I'm super pumped to see that. Hopefully DMZ gets more of a spotlight going forward, but at least it got something this time. Obviously, we'll have more details next week. And then finally, the redheaded stepchild that Infinity Ward seemingly does not care about anymore, but people like me still love, is multiplayer. And one of the fixes, obviously, they mentioned the audio fixes above and just general fixes and weapon balancing. They've made perks acquirable quicker. So basically, with the new convoluted perk system, right, you have to earn perks throughout the game. That's going to be sped up so you get them earlier in each game. Again, as I stated in my review a couple months ago, the new perk system is very just, I neither love it nor hate it. But the fact that they're trying to mix it up, it just seems more and more convoluted, and it's kind of dwindling back to just, why did you guys have to change this? Just go back to 3 perks. They even mentioned that they tried changing around Ghost's like slot or position, and they were just not able to make things balanced that way. And it's just like, just go back to the normal 3 perks. If it's this hard to balance and this hard to keep track of, just go back to how it was. Again, I don't hate the new system by any means. I don't love it either. But like, if it's going to be this difficult, just take it back to how it was, please. But nothing on that yet, just that they made it quicker. So next up, obviously, weapon balancing. We talked about that. Actual hardcore mode is coming. So they did the whole tier 1 thing in season 1. Didn't launch with the game, but then it came season 1. I haven't played it, but apparently it's not even quite hardcore. It's like a weird middle ground between core and hardcore. But now they're adding the typical, as you would expect, hardcore, game mode, playlist, whatever. And that is coming with season 2, along with ranked play. So 2 pretty big changes, if I'm going to be honest and give them credit here for multiplayer, if you choose to play those modes, which I probably won't play hardcore. And I almost certainly won't play ranked play, especially since skill-based matchmaking is still in the game, right? I play ranked play every goddamn day, unfortunately. So to play it even sweatier versions of it, I'm not interested. But it's still cool that they're adding it. I'm very happy they're adding it. Don't get me wrong. I just probably won't play it. There's also new modes coming. Again, more info on the 8th, so I'm assuming a couple more game modes and stuff like that have been in past Call of Duties, but they're just drip-feeding to us. We'll get some more. They also mentioned the Valentine's Day playlists are coming back. So that's cool that they're kind of doing seasonal fun stuff. Again, hopefully this bodes well for like a shock and awe event in March for St. Patrick's Day. Fingers crossed. And then obviously now they're doing a thing where 1 week out of every month they will post a Twitter poll and the community can kind of vote on what the featured playlist is. So they actually did that this week and the community voted on Shoot the Ship playlist, which is Shoot House and Shipment. So that's kind of cool. They give us like 3 or 4 options and the community kind of voted. So at least they're giving us some sway as opposed to just ripping out what everybody wants and putting in something that they want. They're still going to do that 3 weeks out of the month, but at least 1 week we get our own thing. So overall, once again, multiplayer has almost nothing mentioned. Now, I will say that we did hear, it wasn't in his blog post, but I think Charlie Intel may have tweeted it out, or some reputable source had tweeted out. Apparently there's 5 new guns coming, which is awesome. I'm super psyched about that. Obviously, that's not multiplayer specific. That goes to all game modes. All game modes can use all the weapons. So, but I am super psyched to hear that. I love that they're adding to the already generous weapon pool. And we haven't heard anything about the multiplayer maps. I'm hoping, and Prestige is Key said a similar thing, but I'm hoping 2 maps at Season 2 launch with another one coming mid-season. And I'm hoping that at least 1 or 2 of those is a brand new all-original 6v6 map. I'm also hoping maybe, Gunfight or another ground war map, just something to fill it out. But already, especially if this blog post is anything to go off of, it seems like once again, all they care about is Warzone, and the other modes kind of get stuffed under the rug. But it does seem like they're really listening to the community and adding a bunch of stuff people have been asking for months now. Now, whether you still want to be mad at that it took till the middle of February to get some of this stuff as opposed to getting it launch day back in October, that's completely up to you. I completely get those arguments. I understand completely being frustrated that some of this stuff is being withheld and then drip fed. And maybe it is just a big ploy by Infinity Ward to sound like they're listening to the community by, holding back stuff, getting negative feedback, and then just putting that stuff in later as a, see, we listened to you guys sort of placation thing. Either way, we're getting content, things are getting fixed, community gripes are being listened to, at least for now. And, whether or not you love the fact that it's taken 2.5 months to get it or not, the fact of the matter is, as of February 15th, the game will be in a much better state than it was at launch, and I'm super happy to keep playing with it. So, once again, I will be giving another update on February 8th, or at least the week of February 8th, they said, when we'll be getting a whole lot of more information. We'll cover a whole lot more of what's going on with Season 2. So, yeah, once again, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Are these changes great? Are you excited for any of these in particular? Do you think there should have been more? What are you looking forward to hopefully hearing on the 8th, in terms of more information? Let me know in those comments. And as always, guys, I will catch you in the next one.